Welcome to another podcast named Tim Mandalorian review. Of course, season 2, chapter 10, entitled The Passenger. We're going to get right into it, but of course, there are going to be some spoilers. So if you haven't watched the episode and you don't want to know anything, don't watch this. Watch it and then come back to hear my thoughts. And if you want to know my thoughts from chapter 9, entitled the Sheriff, the Marshal, you can click on the card I'll put over in one of these corners. So again, chapter 10, it's entitled "The Passenger." We're moving right along with season 2 of The Mandalorian. Again, a great episode, and more. I've heard some people. I watched some other reviews just to make sure I didn't miss anything from a lore perspective. But I heard some people say it's kind of a side quest, kind of a very much that episodic feel that The Mandalorian has. I would agree with that, but not in a bad way. I thought the episode was executed well. A lot of tension, a lot of fun things, and I think the good thing is this episode is allowing some repercussions from earlier decisions that the Mandalorian made in season 1, and maybe we'll have future repercussions and waves that are going to come from here. So where are we at? We're on Tatooine, of course. And the Mandalorian is riding through the desert. There are two, bounty hunters who are set a trap for him, and it's basically it's a string. They put a string out to trip him up. Very scary for all of those baby Yoda fans. And the baby flies forward a little bit and rolls around, and the Mandalorian catches himself with a jetpack. People are still after the baby, so that's important to note. Don't know who's collecting this bounty now, but it creates that tension and reminds us that the baby is still an asset that people are after, and that he has to they're on the run all the time, and so they just kind of creates a sense of urgency to their journey. So the bounty hunters do capture Baby Yoda for a second, or the child, and basically the Mandalorian, after taking care of all the other ones, starts to negotiate with them, and he offers his jetpack, or he gives them the jetpack in exchange for the child. And what happens, of course, is he uses his risk control of it to basically launch the guy up into space and then slam them down, or the sky, and then slam them down. It's kind of funny. There's a moment where the child kind of looks up at him like, did you just do that? And he's like, shrugs his shoulder. Business is business. Just here to take care of things. And so, with his speeder, of course, destroyed now, the Mando walks into Mos Eisley, I'm assuming, from the look of it. And looked like the exact cantina from the episode, I think it was episode 5 or 6 from last season, which was one of my least favorite episodes. But he's in the Mos Eisley cantina. The woman from the hangar that has been his friend. I can never remember her name. She's not one of my favorite side characters from the show, but she's there playing some Zabak, and she happens to be playing with someone who knows where some more Mandalorians are, and happens to be this giant, like, ant-looking creature, which might look odd in a Star Wars world, but it's actually a great callback to George Lucas. If I remember correctly, one of his original cuts of the cantina scene had like a giant praying mantis hanging out in the cantina, and Fox was just like, no, you can't do that, that looks dumb. So a nice throwback to the original, one of the original cuts that didn't even make the last final version of the film. But they're playing Sabak. He basically says he's going to shuttle this woman, a frog. They call her Frog Lady. I think that's what it says in the credits as well. So we don't know what species, but Frog Lady, going to shepherd her and her unborn eggs, and I don't know if they're fertilized yet or not, to her husband, so that they can continue on. It sounded like their species. This is a species that is essentially extinct, or at the very least, their line of the species. And so the issue here is that he cannot use hyperspace to get there, because basically the eggs would not fare very well in hyperspace. Immediately when seeing them, I thought that the child would end up eating some of the eggs, because that's just the natural thing to think of. And that happens quite frequently through this episode. It's played for comic relief, done very well. But there's also a communication barrier here between him and the frog woman. She doesn't She seems to understand Basic, but he does not understand her language, and she can't speak Basic, which comes into play later as they're on their way to the planet. I think it's Thrask is what it's called. It's, I guess, a water planet where her husband has refuge at the moment. They're traveling there. Some X-wing pilots show up, and they are basically trying to read his logs of where he's been, and he's trying to say, I don't have to do that because it's pre-imperial, and they they end up saying, like, we're gonna have to escort you in unless you show us your logs of where you've been and everything, or we're gonna, because they assume you might be harboring some Imperials, and so he opens up the log, and they get this great moment of tension where the two pilots are like, can you switch over to comms line 2 so that he can't hear what they're saying. And there's a great shot over from the side where you just see the X-wings foils just open up, and immediately it's about to go down. So we have a nice chase sequence through space. They go to an ice planet of some sort. Unfortunately, it is not Elam. I did a preview for the season 2 when they had all the trailers coming out, where I made some predictions based on that, and I thought this might be Elam that they were going to go to, and we were going to get some more Jedi lore from that. But I'm happy we didn't, because the Mandalorian is very self-contained. But I thought we were going to go to Elam. It is not. I don't even know if they've named the planet. I'm sure it's probably somewhere on Wikipedia or something like that, but I don't think they mention it by name in the episode. So they're chasing each other through the sky of this planet, a lot of clouds. Mandalorian is doing a lot of evasive maneuvers, does get away, but he crashes, and the floor or the ground is not stable, falls through and messes up the ship a lot more. So he's in this cavern trying to repair the ship, and the woman she ends up going to repair the robot that they killed from the episode in season 1, where they tried to break out the prisoner. And she repairs the robot and basically uses the robot's abilities to translate to basically say what she needs to say. And basically she's saying, like, we can't wait here. We got to go. Got my eggs. Got to take care of business because this is the last of my species again. And Mandalorian is very much, hey, I can't do anything. We just got to wait this out. You're lucky we're alive. We're not going to make it off this planet. Very pessimistic. And she pulls the Marty McFly card that they've used a couple times in this series, which is they start Mando shaming him, basically, where it's like, well, I thought Mandalorians were so great and everything and kept their word. And then, of course, he's like, well, I guess I have to do this now. So he goes to repair the ship, but we find out the woman is missing, or the frog lady is missing. Him and the child are tracking her through a cavern, through her footprints. It's got like a thermal reader of some sort, and they're tracking her through a cavern, and she's in a hot spring taking a nice bath, I guess keeping her eggs warm and incubated to make sure that they're not being damaged. And then this episode kind of takes a shift. The child goes over to eat. Well, he goes over, and there's like all these little pebbles that are in the ground, and they're shaped like eggs. And immediately, if you've ever seen Alien, you know where this is going. It looks exactly like the alien eggs. It opens up like the alien egg. It looked almost like a face sucker, coming out, but it's this spider creature. The child eats one, and then all the other ones start to hatch, and immediately there's just thousands of spiders of all different sizes chasing them through the cavern. They're on the run. Din is using everything to get away. He's shooting them. He's using the flamethrower. He's got some mines he uses. Gets to the ship, which again, they're invading the ship as well. So just great, just tension, just a great adrenaline rush of an episode, even if it is, like I said, maybe not heavy on the lore, more just kind of an action kind of side episode, but just great. One of the better ones for that. But the spiders are chasing them in, and they reminded me, I don't know, I'm assuming it's not this monster, but there was in Heir to the Jedi, which is a book about Luke Skywalker that Disney did. There's these parasites that like attach to your head and like screw into your brain, but I don't think they were visible. They get kind of like camouflage. But they reminded me a lot of that because of the way their teeth looked, of what I thought that would look like when I was reading that book. Maybe someone can confirm if those are supposed to be the same thing, but it was interesting. They're chasing him through the, like I said, into the cavern. They're going into the cockpit because he tries to seal it off, and they're just coming into the door. And the reason I say that about the Heir to the Jedi thing is because one of them hops on Baby Yoda's head, and it looks like he's going to try and, like, attach himself and suck himself in, but he ends up using the flamethrower to get them all taken care of. The music plays. You think they've made it through. As he's lifting off, big old giant mama or daddy one hops on and just destroys the ship. But, of course, they are saved by the X-Wing pilots earlier in the episode. They come to save them. They shoot everything up. And basically they, again, talk about what happened in that episode where they tried to break out the prisoner. And they saw the footage of him trying to help out the officer who was killed. And they basically just say, you're a bad guy. We have bounties for you, but because you helped out, our guy, we're going to let you go. He asked for help as far as actually repairing his ship, and they're just like you got your one. We helped you out. We're even at this point, essentially. So he repairs the ship, which is in shambles. They're all in the cockpit, and we're on our way to the next planet, and it's going to be a very rickety ride. I think it's safe to say the Razor Crest is done, and we're going to have to see what his next ride is going to be, or what's going to happen now, how he's going to be getting around the galaxy, because it is on its last leg. Again, good episode. Excited to see where we're going next, and that's pretty much it. Another great episode of Mandalorian. Again, check out our other reviews for that and other Star Wars content we're going to be putting out. Please like, share, subscribe. It does a lot to help out the channel. And see you next time here on A Podcast Named Tim.